What's happening, everybody? Well, this is in response to my man Frogsworth on Reddit. Said he was having some trouble building his sword right here, so I thought I'd give it a go. So we'll hop on over into Studio Max. You can see the first thing I did was bring the picture into a plane, make a plane, and start slowly manipulating my polygons across here. And it takes some time to do this. It's kind of a labor of love. I recommend getting you a cold drink, sit down, put on a good movie, and then just, slowly plug away at it. You gotta have some pretty good spatial recognition, understanding what things are in 3 dimensions, especially in this one. I only had the one pick that he gave me. So I plugged along, started with the handle, just slowly shaped it around there, and imagine what it would look like if it was an actual sword. Now, I'll be honest, I'll come clean. I did start out by doing the blade first. Well, I went ahead and backed up because it was a hot mess. Okay, let's talk about this here. I tried doing these handles with a spline, then extruding it, rendering it, and turning it into an editable poly. If I had to do over, I'd probably manipulate it kind of like I did the handle. This ended up being pretty difficult, and I ended up really having too many polygons, so I had to go to soft selection, like you see here, and kind of try and manipulate it, by extending the polygons here and there, just to make it look like the sword. I am sure that there's some modelers out there who have a much better process than this, so I wouldn't recommend doing it exactly like this, but it was a means to an end, and at this point, I was kind of just in it to win it. So you can see I'm just slowly moving my model around in the bottom right there in perspective, and then keeping an eye on that side view up there, making sure I'm lining up with all the perspective and everything. As I did this turn, see how I did this? I grabbed the edge. As you were? Okay, so this right here is when I was using that old part. Well, I didn't like that at all. I got that blade, it just wasn't working, so I deleted it. Then I started over right here. I came on in. Let's see here. Now, a lot of this got to be a bit tedious because when you merge 2 different models together, you have a lot of leftover polygons, things that you really don't want. So you got to go in and slowly take them out one by one, especially if you're going to augmented reality or anything like that, or Turbo Squid. They don't want any existing polygons just floating out there. Whoop. So I'm trying to piece together here very slowly. I say slowly. Honestly, it took me about 4 hours or so to do this model. And I did it over 2 days. I didn't do it 4 hours straight. It was over 2 days. You can see here, just slowly plugging along, moving polygons. And if y'all ever got any questions about this, man, shoot me an email or answer on here. I love to answer questions. And if you're a fellow 3D modeler, I'd love to just network some. I want you to know I'm multitasking. I'm watching this right here, cooking some food here in the background. So if you hear a sizzling sound, relax. Ain't nothing on fire, just cooking some hamburgers. All right. You can see that handle was giving me a fit. Again, I'd probably do it differently if I had to do it over. Really no reason you should spend this much time on one point with model. A lot of times, let's talk about freelance rates while we're sitting in here. If you're a decent modeler and you get a freelance rate, personally, my freelance rate will be between $50 to $100 an hour. The only reason I go higher than that, or up to 100, is if I have to prep it for an augmented reality project or video game project. Because that means I got to spend more time doing the UVW unwrap and making all the different bump maps and specular maps and ambient occlusion maps and everything else that goes along with making a model. But in general, if you just want a 3D model or something, unless it's a person, if it's an object, I can usually knock it out pretty quick, $50 an hour rate. And if you want to do it for less than that and let me keep the rights, I'll do it for less. So if you're like saying, hey, Lil Top, I want you to build me I don't know, let's say like a military bunker. All right, I'll build it. And you can either pay me full rate and then it's yours and I never see it again, or I'll take half rate, but I get rights to sell it too. Fair's fair, same. All right, it's starting to look pretty good here. I'm starting to like how the handle's going. Trying to button up some of them polygons though. Because in the end, when you do the UVW unwrap, you want to be able to, if you want to take a lot of time, you want to be able to see it and use Photoshop to make everything look real clean. Now, at this point, I'm going on up and I'm going to go ahead and put that little loop up there, see? All I did was make a circle, keep on extending all the way around. Give it a little love, make a little circle, looks pretty good. Now what I do is I try and keep it pretty low polygon and then I pop back and forth in between iterations. But you want to keep as low polygon as possible, especially if you go into a video game. You don't need elements like this, which is really just an accessory, being too big. You know, you don't want to have to load that every time. Same in an augmented reality. Got to keep them polygons low. Now, I kept looking at this sword, the sword I made the first time. I'm like, you know what? Thing's a hot mess. Oh, as you were. I'm down there fixing the bottom of that. We'll get to that sword in a second. While I'm on here watching this happening, hey, go check out my website. First start a little top.com and go check out my Shopify store too. Or just shoot me an email on Facebook. Whatever. Just holler at me. Alright, I'm about done making this handle. I'm liking how it's looking. So at this point I merged them and you can see me here at the bottom right. I'm going inside there and I'm deleting them extra polygons that are in there. We don't need that. And after that happens, I button up and I weld all those vertices together. If any of this ain't making no sense, just write me, ask me. I'll explain it to you. The polygons are, if you think about it, really nothing more than buttons. Imagine putting on a coat. You leave it wide open, nobody likes it. We don't want to see a nasty chest hair. Using buttons to button it up makes for a better wrap. Alright, I'm not sure what was happening with that. Okay, this right here, I kept putting it on the iterations and I was getting a weird look. So eventually I just got irritated, deleted it, and then redid that part in the handle. You'll see me do it here in a second. Alright, so I started playing with the sword part that I've made before. Eventually you're going to see it here. I get fed up and I just delete it. I thought maybe it didn't look good because I had all the, you know, there weren't enough polygons up through there. You can see here I kept getting that 8-ball looking thing, so I deleted it and just filled them in. Bridge is when you go in and you collect, you get two different of your not your vertices but your lines, and then you piece them together and they get bridge. Oh, this isn't good. Looks like my recording here was no good for y'all. I'll just drive on. You'll see it here in a second. So I slowly kept plugging away, deleting all these middle things. Gotta make that circle look good. Honestly, after doing this, makes me want to go build some more of this, you know, replica of military, old school military stuff. Swords, knives, and such. Maybe some World War II memorabilia. Alright, I like the way that looks. So what I did was I went up to the top of the handle. I squared them polygons away, so I put them in kind of the shape of what the sword would be when it came out right there at the hilt. You can see here, moving them, get where I want. Then I go in and I grab the plane, boom, and I just start extruding. Get it where I like, level them all up. See, nice and flat. Nice and flat. And then I'll grab the top again here in a second. Boom, 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 bazing. Move it all around, get the shape of that sword. Oh yeah, we're getting close now. And remember, it doesn't have to be super perfect. It just has to be pretty close. Close enough to fake it. Usually in a video game, it doesn't have to be perfect. And if you ever dig in, you see it's not. Now this one, I did this texture at 1028 by 1028. A lot of times in video games, they got tiny little textures. That's why there's not a whole lot of detail. When you're playing, if you go look at something real close, it's not a whole lot there. But in the end, as you see here, sword looks pretty good. More than willing to go to war with this. Well, I appreciate y'all sitting around with me. If y'all need anything, holla. Lil Top out.